Job applications. You're applying for a load of jobs. You're getting nowhere. You're wondering why. You could buy my course for nine. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But you want to know why. You want to know answers. You want to know why is it hard for you. Now, in this video, I'm going to try to go through quickly as many things as I possibly can. I could be wrong with what's going on with your job application. And don't get angry. Don't get annoyed with me because some of them may cut to the bone. Some of them you may not even understand. And some of them you think, oh, that actually sounds like me and I think I need to do that. Whatever it is, accept this video with openness. It's not there to hurt you. It's there to give you an idea. So where are you in your job application at the moment? Let's say you've made a couple of hundred by now and you've had no response, or you've had a couple of interviews or a couple of responses, a couple of conversations with recruiters, and still nothing. Why? Okay, let's start with the most obvious thing, first of all. The most obvious thing is that the job market is, in places, an utter mess. Nobody knows what's going on in it. And as a recruiter, I'm still trying to work out what's going on in some parts of the job market. In other parts of the job market, it is flying. It's just everyone's getting jobs. And they're doing really well. And then another part of the job market is somewhere in between flying and doing absolute terrible. And good jobs come on, good jobs come off. And you kind of toss into it in between. So wherever you sit in this market, you'll have your mate Bob telling you, I made 2 applications and suddenly I've got a job. And then you have your mate Dave that's made 10,000 applications and he's got nowhere. And yeah, it's getting hard for him. It's getting really hard for him. And then there you are in the middle going, I'm getting some of this and I'm getting some of that, but something's not quite right. Let's get to the point. Somewhere in the high 90% of applications that come into definitely a recruiter's inbox, maybe into a hiring manager's inbox, somewhere in the high 90%, those applications, those amount of applications are either nowhere relevant to being right or very, very close to being insanely bad. Okay, and what I mean by insanely bad is that you may as well just write 4 lines with about 3 swear words in it, because that's how close it is to it. That's how much of an insult that application could potentially be. Like, don't get mad. That's what happens. Why does that happen? Why is it so high? Why is the percentage fluffing up everyone's inbox and killing basically the job application world? Over the years, job applications have become so easy, it is indoctrinating people to become a lot lazier now in their job applications. CVs that are very generic, written probably 5-10 years ago and just had the jobs added to them as they've been going through them. Or you've come out of university, someone's shown you how to write a CV and you've always written it like that. Or you've gone on Canva and you do one of those fancy CVs with a picture of you looking like a stalker or like a killer. Or looking a little bit too kind of glam modelly. And, whatever it may be. But the actual bit that recruiters and the actual bit that hiring managers want to see is there. And that 90-something% of applicants have forgotten to add that bit to their CV. Now, the 4 or 5% of people that apply for jobs that get a conversation, they've got one thing in common, and is that the CV as a content itself, somewhere in the region of about 50 to 60% of that CV is there or thereabouts relevant for the role that they've applied for. And that could be just one thing, like a job title, for instance, and maybe a sector that they work in, or a material they work with, or a product that they're working with. And it's very similar, very close. So the recruiter or the hiring manager, oh, this looks like a right person, let's give them a call. And that's how close it is, really. Only 1 or 2 words away. So if you think about 90-something% are even close to that. And I'm not talking about education. I'm not talking about sector relevance sometimes. I'm talking about being as close as a job title. That's how close you need to be these days to it. There are less than 1% of people which hit the marker on the nail and they accelerate right through the recruitment process to the end to get an offer. Those people, they tend to be the ones that have got a lot more offers and a lot more opportunities on the table, and they tend to have been able to play the game of how it works. So how does it work? And how can you improve that in your application process? How can you improve the communication, the rejections? And by the way, those 90-something%, because they're not relevant, they charge another problem within the industry that I see, which is they don't deem worthy of a rejection. Listen, I reject everyone, and they get a nice little email saying, sorry, you've been rejected for this job. And then it invites that particular person to come back to me and say, why? And that's fine. Some people don't come back and why. I think every 100 of those rejections I send, about 3 or 4 come back and ask why. And then I'll go and analyse the CV and give them about 6 or 7 points. 3 sometimes at a minimum, but 6 or 7 points on where it's gone wrong for them. And I cite exactly what I'm saying now, that I can't see evidence. Where have you done this? Where have you done that? Where have you done this? And if they can cite the evidence, then great. So how to improve it? The biggest way to improve your CV applications today is slow it down. Slow it down to probably about 10% of what you're doing at the moment. Okay. Focus on 3 or 4 things only. Okay. And those 3 or 4 things is your location. Okay. What's going on around you. Okay. Where the jobs around you. Because that's another factor why people get rejected and quietly rejected, is that they apply for jobs hundreds of miles away and no one can be bothered with that. And I can go into another video why on that one. Let's try to get it right for you first though. Location, salary. So what is your salary? What are you looking for? And if your salary in anything that you've done online, so job boards, on your CV, wherever it is, states differently to what the job you're applying for, you need to sort that out. So go back into your profile and all the job boards and change your salary band into what you want it to be. I would suggest don't put one. Okay? Let the jobs do that. I know some of them don't state salary, but that's a different problem for a different video. What your job title is. What do you do right now? And if your job title, let's say you're a sales engineer, but the job is business development engineer, then put in brackets on your CV business development engineer or business developer or business development. Because, believe it or not, the best ATS system in the world is a human, okay? And as they're scanning through CVs, they will look for keywords in your CV. Not a computer, a person. And when they see those keywords in your CV, they'll go, oh, this is business development, let's read a bit more. Which is the last point. Make sure your CV is relevant in the sector and what they do. So if it's a business development engineer, aerospace, selling wings or engines, then put that in your CV that you've done that, selling wings or engines. And if you don't, and you're not relevant for the role, and you don't have that key experience, or close to, remember what I said, 50-60% close experience to the role, you'll probably get a call, and you know we're close to that, don't apply for the role. Don't waste your time applying for that job. And this is what I'm saying, you reduce your applications down to 10% and focus and concentrate on 10% of the applications that you're making at the moment that are deemed relevant to yourself. Now, if you get to the point and if you made 100 of those applications, I'd be very surprised you get past 50. But if you made 100 of those applications and you've got no response, then there may be another problem in the process. And I don't know what that is until I speak to a person that tells me that. But everyone I tell this advice to, everyone that follows this advice, every one of them comes back to me. I'm not joking. Every one of them comes back to me and says, I got calls. I got more calls than I can shake a stick at. Why? Because it's just taking control of your job applications. That's all it is.